Hey, what's up guys? T.Mayne here, back again. Thanks so much for being back on the channel. Super awesome to have you guys back with us for another week of preparation, guys. Preparation, as usual, should be part of, I guess, a weekly routine, and that's what we've developed here. We do this analysis every week. So let's get into it, guys. In today's analysis, we're going to go through 4 different pairs. So the DXY, AUDCAD, AUDCHF and NZDJPY. So all of the pairs that have or that are marked with a blue flag. So let's get straight into it, guys. On the DXY, we're on the daily chart. So on the daily, I guess structure still stands very much still intact as it was last week. Lows there, highs there, swing lows here, and then obviously moves to the upside, violating higher structure. So these are the previous support structures that are basically holding to the upside, and that's what we're going to be looking for prices to maybe tap into over the course of next week for some type of a move to the upside. So we can see that structure on the DXY has been fairly bearish. If we look at, I guess, let's just take into account the most recent and major swing lows and swing highs. We have some equal highs over there, and then prices basically breaking down and violating some lower structure on our left hand side, creating new lower lows. So nice moves to the downside on the DXY, though we are approaching an important and significant support area. So it's going to be interesting to see, first of all, how does the dollar index actually make its way into that support structure over there. So let's just zoom into what we have over here. So it's going to be important for us to actually see how we first of all get into the support area, and then next of all what the market actually does when we tap into the support area. Do we see basically structure changing, and then we start to see breaks of structure to the upside? Do we see basically a deceleration of price coming into these support structures here? Do we see price decelerating into these support structures? That is going to give us a nice piece of information as to whether or not we should be aligning ourselves on the bullish side of things on the DXY. We are approaching higher time frame support, so I guess it is more important to be looking for buying opportunities and not selling opportunities, because we are approaching support and there's not going to be enough space for us to actually, I guess, manage a nice swing position without having to manage our position by the time we get to these structural areas over there. Though if prices do push lower and tap into the support structure and give us some sort of a reversal, there'll be enough space for us to manage our position at the next important key area, that was support there, resistance there, and that the market could react to when we do reach this area again. We'll have enough space for us to capitalize basically on a trade with good probabilities, considering we're at some weekly support, and as well as good risk to reward ratios, because there is enough space. The market allows us that space to capitalize on a good reward ratio based off where we need to set our take profit to manage our full position. So guys, in the course of next week, I'm going to be looking for some bullish bias price action to give me a reason to buy some dollar strength. I will also be looking to see if markets do make a move back to the upside to react to these or to this price area here that we have seen has been an important price area, and that could continue to be an important price area if prices do make its way back up to there. I'm going to be paying attention to the exact same things. How does price actually make this move to the upside, and then as well, what does price do when we are in these areas? So guys, I'm hoping for some upside over the course of next week, but I'm gonna see as well whether the market actually moves to the upside from this area and where we can get some further downside for prices to actually tap into these support structures before the move to the upside. So dollar index, guys, is in the process of some kind of either an accumulation or a redistribution for continued downside, and we'll really only know after the price action really develops nicely enough for us to assume a particular direction. But price action is bearish on the H4, though we are approaching some support structures over there. So I want to see if this market is going to give some signs of reversals from these areas here for the next potential I guess uptrend, or maybe even corrective wave to the upside. Who knows whether it's going to be impulsive or corrective, but for the next move to the upside, for any maybe long-term potential downside continuation, maybe coming just to test these highs here before continuing to the downside, or whatever the case is, we're just expecting a reaction from these support areas for some dollar strength on the DXY. Let's get into the next pair. We'll go through Aussie CAD. So guys, on Aussie CAD, we'll keep things, I guess, on the H4. Just be quick about the analysis. Let's not dwell too long on the particular concepts and stuff like that. So looking at structure on the Aussie CAD, so we have a support structure being created there, prices pushing to the upside, testing support one more time, creating equal highs and violating structure to the downside, obviously showing us which direction the momentum is after we have this consolidating market and a nice impulsive break out of this consolidation. We now know that sellers are in control and that sellers are interested in pushing prices lower. So what does that mean for us as traders? Means that we should be looking for potential trend continuation trades in the direction that we do see current market participants sending price. So looking at the previous support structure that has been violated, we're expecting now when the markets do tap into this area, they will function as resistance. So looking at the H1, guys, we also have some structure that we can just draw out quickly. If we just slap on a trend line from this support structure over there, and this resistance over here, we can see that we have a little bit more context for some structure. Now, what we could be going into next week looking for is for prices to actually play within this structure, and then once we see a break out of the structure, we can look for potential reduced risk entries to the downside. And guys, if prices do correct beautifully into this area over here, then we could look for a risk entry at the top here for a nice potential continuation trade in the direction of the momentum that we are seeing on our left hand side. My mistake, guys. I pulled down my notifications bar by mistake. Though, yes guys, we're just going to be looking for prices to tap into that resistance and then give us some bearish price action so that we can be able to capitalize in a potential continuation of this momentum that we do see breaking prices to the downside, and that we could see these sellers basically holding price below structure and then sending prices down lower. So that's kind of what we are hoping for. There's also confluence of this impulse correction and potential impulse nature that we do see going on there on Aussie CAD. So I'm going to be looking out for that in the course of next week. Let's go on to the next pair, Aussie Swiss franc, guys. So on Aussie Swiss franc, what I am doing here is I'm giving myself the opportunity to trade both dollar strength, both AUD strength and AUD weakness, just by trading two different AUD based pairs in different directions. So on Aussie CAD, guys, we do see this market sort of violating structure to the downside, but doing that in a corrective manner. So we see markets creating lows and then breaking that lower structure and breaking back above structure, and then we see price breaking these new lows and then breaking back above structure as well. So we do know that this market is making that move to the downside, but it's doing so in a corrective manner. So the next impulsive move that I'm going to be expecting out of AUDCHF is going to be to the upside. So on AUDCHF, guys, I'm going to be looking for some bullish continuation structures. Obviously we have an impulse, a short move to the upside, so we could see a potential double bottom structure on the H4 for a potential move to the upside to hopefully clear at least this resistance area, or at least these highs over here, before any move to the downside, and maybe our trade can clear these highs here, and even these extreme highs up there. So that's the kind of a move that I'm hoping for on AUDCHF, guys. I'm hoping for some upside considering the descending nature of this market, and at the same time kind of spreading my risk, looking for a selling position on AUDCAD, obviously looking to trade that potential AUD weakness, and then as well as looking for a buy on AUDCHF, allowing me to trade any potential AUD strength that might come out in the future. So if there's AUD strength and AUD based pairs make that move to the upside, I'm going to be looking for that setup specifically on AUDCHF because the price action agrees with a bias in this direction. And as well as if there's any AUD weakness, I'm going to be looking for a sell setup on this pair because this market structure allows for that particular bias. The logic aligns. So I'm giving myself an opportunity to trade both AUD strength and AUD weakness on these different pairs, following the logic and the structure and the price action that I'm seeing on the charts. Now let's go into the last pair, guys, NZDJPY. NZDJPY, guys, let's just start off on the daily with this pair. So on NZDJPY, what we can see here, let's just move this market to the right. What we can see here is a potential corrective structure or some sort of an ascending structure. What we do see here is a touch over there, second touch there, third touch there, and we're seeing prices basically impulsing back to this previous resistance area that the market saw a sell-off from. Now, what am I looking for on NZDJPY? So we spoke about this ascending structure. We know that ascending structures normally break to the downside. So going down on our H4, we'll have a little bit more context as to what's been happening on NZDJPY. We do see that impulsive move back to resistance. Now remember, we always say we pay attention to two things. First of all, how the market goes to an area where we're looking to trade, and second of all, what the market does when it's at that area. So now we see that the market has been impulsive to this resistance area where we would want to be looking for some selling opportunities. Now we need to pay attention to, will price give us the type of price action that we're looking for to be able to take a sell at these areas after we've seen this impulsive move coming into an area where we want to sell. Now, how will we know that this market is ready for us to sell? All we need to see is these buyers that were involved in this move to the upside exiting or failing to push price higher. What do I mean? I want to see these buyers creating a high and then jumping in again after sellers have established a low, and then seeing these buyers fail to push prices above previous structural highs, and then sellers able to violate structural lows. That will give me an indication on my lower time frames that sellers are in the market and have been able to violate structural lows, and that's what I want on my side. I want the probability of trading in a market where I see market participants that are willing to do, or willing to, let's in this case say willing to sell, that are willing to sell in the direction that I am willing to sell. So I'm going to be on those lower time frames looking for the market to show me some sort of a reversal structure, whether that reversal structure comes in the form of a head and shoulders, double top, whatever the case is. Even if we violate these higher structures, break backward into structure, retest some structural highs, and then violate these structural lows, I'm still going to be looking for sell bias structure to form within these areas. If the sell bias structure doesn't form in the form of a reversal structure like those structures we talked about, it's going to form in the form of some sort of a deceleration where we see the market creating an ascending structure into this resistance area. Those are the things, guys, that are going to give us a reason to be able to sell NZDJPY, or even decide whether we want to be looking for a risk entry or a reduced risk entry that will come after market has violated structural lows and then is showing potential continuation to the downside. So that's basically what we're going to look for on NZDJPY. We're going to look for NZDJPY to give us that sell bias structure for us to be able to sell into this larger ascending structure that we're assuming is going to continue to break to the downside. That's our bias on NZDJPY, guys. We're looking for a sell bias. Thanks so much, guys, for watching until the end of the video. I hope you guys received a lot of value. This video was as short as I could make it, guys. I don't want to stretch our YouTube videos for too long, but I want to still deliver as much value, and I want to be as clear as I can be, just so that you guys really understand the thought processes and everything that's involved in actually analyzing the chart. And I would love for you guys to also see and to basically get insight into the concepts that I use and how consistently I'm using these concepts. I'm using these concepts on higher time frames, on lower time frames, and it's this exact same thing. That's the only way we'll be able to quantify and, I guess, come out with an answer of whether or not what we're doing is actually functional within the forex market. If we are able to execute something consistently, then we'll be able to see whether it's working or it's not working. But if we don't give any system a chance and you know, back test and then as well forward testing is basically you going into the markets and actually live testing what you've been back testing, because you remember, you need to understand how you function and how you make decisions under pressure. You need to know how you make decisions when your emotions are involved during that live market time. And so forward testing and actually applying your stuff and being consistent in the application of whatever you're using, whatever tools and whatever concepts you're using, being consistent in using those tools is what's going to give you the information on whether or not you should change certain things, whether or not you actually are the kind of trader that you think you are, or do you have some bad trading habits that you're not aware of, that are basically making consistency just a little bit more difficult for you, but that you're not actually changing. Being consistent will help you see those things, not being consistent in your profits, but being consistent in the methods and the tools and the concepts that you use to come to your final decision on whether you're going to buy or whether you're going to sell. But otherwise, guys, I appreciate you guys for actually watching until the end of the video. I love to drop at least one nugget for you guys that actually watch until the end. I appreciate you guys. This is T.Mayne. I will see you guys in all the future videos. Definitely do like this video if you have received some sort of value. And otherwise, guys, cheers. I'll see you in the future videos.